I'm your huckleberry.
This is the Smoking Guns Podcast.
No G with a Z, P-O-D, Smoking Guns Podcast, hanging out with you on a Monday night after a bye week for the San Antonio Gunslingers. We are the Smoking Guns Podcast. We are a podcast that deals with football in San Antonio, specifically football involving the San Antonio Gunslingers of the IFL. My name is Philip Higginbotham. I'm joined by my good friend, my buddy, Leo Yamas. Leo, how you doing?
I'm good. What's up, Smoking Guns Posse? How are you, Philip?
I'm good. We are usually joined by RC Woods, but RC Woods had some mouth work today. She went and saw the orthodontist and had some oral surgery today, so she's not with us. Yeah. RC, we don't. I feel relatively sure she's going to check in at some point. When you do, know that we want you to get better. And we are hoping you're not in too much pain tonight as you are getting back home and getting settled. And we hope you heal up really quickly. So,
I don't mind admitting I'm a big baby when it comes to like dental, mouth pain, any kind of pain, the jaw, teeth. Like, no.
I don't go to the dentist. I should. I know I should. I know it's a thing. I don't go to the dentist. I have not since I was about 9 years old. When I was 9 years old, I got hit in the mouth with a baseball bat, broke out my two front teeth. These teeth that you see now so prominently displayed in my mouth are fake. They were put in my mouth when I was nine or 10 years old. I believe I was 9, because my adult teeth had grown in there. My coach was showing me how to swing with a wooden bat that was cracked. And as he swung full speed, the barrel of the bat cracked off of the handle and flew and hit me right in the mouth. I have a scar on my bottom lip. I have 2 false teeth. I spent that whole... By the way, that was the day we ended school, 5th grade. That's how I started my summer that year, was getting hit in the mouth with a baseball bat. So I spent that whole summer going to the dentist and getting oral surgeries and getting the temporary teeth and the root canals and the reconstructive work because it busted in my teeth, and I had to cut up. Like, I went to Boy Scout camp for the first time that summer because I was finally going to be in 6th grade. I had to cut up my hamburger at camp with a knife and fork because I didn't have front teeth to bite it. Very not cool. And so I just don't do the dentist anymore. I've been like twice since then in my life to the dentist.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's not my thing. But everybody it should be your thing. Like, you should take care of your teeth. And I'm glad RC's doing that. Yeah. So it's just you and me, Leo, but not for long, because we're going to be joined by coaching icon. Let's call him an icon. No, we're going to be joined by Jonathan Bain a little later in the show. He's going to come on. We're going to talk a little bit of Gunslingers offense, and we all know that is an area that we all have ideas and questions, and we're curious as to what's going on with the offense. And so we're going to get a chance to catch up with Jonathan and meet him and talk to him. Like, we know him, but we've never gotten to sit down and talk with him. We get a chance to do that tonight, and then talk a little Gunslingers offense. So we're going to do all of that tonight. No one can replace RC, but Jonathan Bain's going to step in and be a part of the Smoking Guns crew for a few minutes to give us a little bit of inside information about the Gunslingers. Before we get there, though, we didn't have a game this week. Nope. Leo, we didn't have a football game in San Antonio at all this week.
No, it was a bit of a break. The only bummer about it, I see your joke there.
The Gunslingers did not play.
One field goal does not equate to a football game.
The Gunslingers did not play, and the Brahmas did not play, it appears.
play.
So
they were in the dome, but they weren't playing football.
well, they were up in Birmingham, weren't they?
Oh, that's right.
That was
they
a
were in
road
Birmingham.
game.
You're right. Yeah,
They had to go entertain the dozens of fans in Birmingham. I think there were more Brahmas fans probably than Stallions fans in the stands there in Birmingham. So,
wow, that's not good for the league.
Karen Craven checking in. Hello, gentlemen. Tina Myers Haddad. Tina, how are you doing? Jordan Stubing. Sup, dudes?
What's up, Jordan?
We are holding things in. We got some stuff from Jordan that I could share later in the show as we get to talking about. I've already showed Leo. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Very excited about that. Did you watch any other IFL football this week? Because I did.
I did not. I took advantage of the week off, and we were up in Austin with the grandbaby. So I apologize, but
no.
We got to spend some time with my daughter and son-in-law and my grandbaby, and she's just growing like at a tremendous rate. It's crazy.
Title of this episode, 9 months. Caleb's 13 months, and he is just he's great and he's annoying all at the same time. So title of this episode 11 of our 5th season, is Deep Breath. The reason for that is this was our opportunity to take one last deep breath, because for the next 7 weeks, we have Gunslinger football. Not all here in San Antonio, but we have 7 straight weeks of Gunslinger football. And at the end of that, our next bye week, which happens in July, we're going to know by the end of that what the deal is. We're going to know the score. We're going to know whether we are in contention or out of contention. There will be no more guesswork at the end of this 7 weeks. This is the most important 7 weeks of the season for the Gunslingers, because it's a make or break run here. So this is our chance to get a deep breath before we go on this incredible run through the first half of the summer.
Yep. With immediately a chance to get a little bit of revenge for the last loss at home to Vegas. So that'll be exciting to see how much the Gunslingers have prepared, improved, been able to get ready for those next 7 weeks right off the bat with the team that they just played before the bye week. So that's kind of a perfect situation, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, I agree. We got some time off. They didn't get it. They didn't get the time off that we got. They had to go. They got to go back home, but they hosted Northern Arizona, the Wranglers, who were not doing well and continued to not do well, losing 43-37 to the Nighthawks. The Nighthawks pick up another win, but also have to work through the week where we had a week off, a week worth of rest. Ralph Judkins wanting to remind everyone that this Wednesday there will be no branded this week. It's a bye week. It's a bye week for them too. So just be aware of that and find something else to do on Wednesday night. Ralph, that's actually great for me, because Wednesday night, the Dallas Stars start the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs against the Winnipeg Jets. So I will be locked in on that.
What is this hockey thing you're talking about?
Hockey is so much fun. You got to become a hockey fan, Leo. You got to become. It's greatness. The third greatest sport in the world. Second greatest sport in the world. If you put football all into one, it is the only thing better than hockey. Hockey is great. Playoff hockey is really great. Jordan Stubing has a gut feeling. He has a gut feeling we're going to win this weekend. I hope so.
I like that. Yeah.
We need to get off the snide, man. We have had a rough few weeks. We've had a lot of turmoil, a lot of changes. But so far, Leo, last week we talked about what we needed to see. And what I wanted to see was stability. I didn't want to see a lot of changes. Mm-hmm. We needed to stay with things and keep things moving forward the way we were. And so far, I have not heard any rumors of any big changes. I have not heard any rumors of any little changes, frankly. It has been very quiet around Gunslinger Nation, it appears, this week, and that's a good thing. We just need to get level. We need to get a rhythm. We need to get the same guys in the same places and move forward with that. So last night I watched, at the behest of Ralph Judkins, the Bay Area San Diego game. I was not going to watch the game. I was going to go like you the whole week without watching any IFL football. I had not a big meeting, but a long meeting. After church yesterday, we had a meeting that I had to drive over to Corpus for, drive back home. I get in the door of the house, and Ralph is immediately texting me and like, hey, are you watching Bay Area San Diego? And I'm like, no, I'm thinking about taking a nap is what I'm doing. But he told me there were some things on the broadcast that he wanted to bring my attention to, and so I logged on. We ended up watching that game, and I noticed a few things. A, Bay Area is a good football team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good. I like the fact that Bay Area is a good football team.
Yeah.
Because we beat Bay Area.
Beat them.
So if they're a good football team and we beat them, maybe we're a good football team too. I think that's true. I think we've had a rough few weeks, but I think that is... Jordan says, y'all need to go to the game and party with us in Vegas. You deserve it.
Well, I'll have to start like a GoFundMe or something for that right now. Don't get me wrong.
Well, I would love to. I am going to be in Kansas. My niece is graduating, which is great. I'm very happy for my niece. She's done a great job. She is graduating high school. Very proud of her. Way to go, Kaylee. I'm going to be in an Airbnb with my mother-in-law for the weekend. So Vegas and partying and taking in a pray for me is what that is.
I was about to say, was that one big clap of joy?
Yes, that's what it is. So Vegas and an IFL game sounds great, but I am otherwise committed. And I may be committed by the end of the week. I don't know. Jay Washington checking in. Howdy, how are you, sir? Some things I noticed. So I noticed the Bay Area was a good team. They're a good football team, and I like that. I like that because we have been able to beat a good football team. It would be one thing if we looked at our schedule, Leo, and we have one win, which is where we are, and that one win was against Northern Arizona or Tucson or even like Vegas, which has been kind of off and on this year.
Mm-hmm.
You look at that and you go, I don't really know what that means. We won, but we won against a bad team. Does that mean that we're capable of doing anything against the top tier in our league? But when you've beat Bay Area,
mm-hmm.
and you're the only team that's beat Bay Area, I think you can look at things and have a little more hope. I think that lends itself to a little more hope of, hey, look, we went into San Jose and we took on this team that is a really good team with a good quarterback, with a great set of receivers and a good running back, and we shut them down. Defensively, we made them look inept, and then we won that game. That's good news. We're capable of it.
That coupled with the fact that, save one, every loss has been a one-score loss.
Right.
We're not that far off from having another win in our belts. It was just, a play or two that went one way. It could have easily gone another, and just circumstance. So we're right there. We're on the cusp. And add to that, we've talked about it last week, all of the obstacles, all of everything that this team has been through in this young season, and yet they've had to overcome a lot of adversity to this point, a lot of changes, major changes, and still remain competitive in every single game, night in, night out. So those are all positive things.
We talk all the time around sports, but especially around football, any given game, any given Sunday, but any given game, anything can happen. Nothing proves that more than when I looked at the scoreboard this week and saw that Tucson, a team that is not good,
mm-hmm.
got a win over Arizona, a team that is good. a team that is one of those top tier teams, came up and got a win against somebody that normally you would step back and go, they don't have any business winning.
They have no chance. Yeah, that was crazy.
So any given Sunday, I know I've talked to some folks over the past week or so that are just going, man, I don't know. I don't think we have it. I don't think we're good. And I'm like, man, we don't know. Things can change. We are not even halfway through the season yet. I think once we get done with this 7 game run, we will know.
We'll find out.
We will know what we are. And it's a great opportunity to build some momentum to move through this beginning of this season has been very herky-jerky. Not just some of that's been by our own doing. Changing head coaches, changing quarterbacks, some of that stuff is our own doing. I fully understand that. But then bye weeks and the schedule and look, I'm not blaming anything on anything. I'm not that guy. I'm not a guy that says, well, yeah, sure, we lost. The IFL has screwed us on the schedule and the referees. I'm not that guy. But it's just been hard to find a rhythm. They don't have that excuse the next 7 weeks. The rhythm's going to be there.
I don't think we know how good we can be yet. That's what we're going to find out over the next 7 weeks. But I do think I could say I feel that this team is better than a 1-4 record. I think they're better than a 2-3 record.
I do.
It's just been the circumstances that they've had to deal with up to this point. And right now at 2-3, you're in the playoff hunt. And, even 1-4, I mean, we're only a game back in a 16-game season. But what I'm saying is, I think they're better than a 1-4 record. I think they're better than a 2-3 record for certain. After seeing what we've seen this up in this young season so far, it's just been some tough challenges, really tough challenges.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody's out of anything yet. 1-4 sounds bad. It does put you in the second to last position in your conference. I think we call them conferences, or the conferences or divisions. I don't remember. In the western side of the bracket.
Conference, I think.
But only a game out of that fourth spot, that last playoff spot. You're only a game back of San Diego, Tucson, who got that inexplicable win against Arizona, and then Vegas is 3-2. Well, you got to play Vegas, so you can bring Vegas down to 3-3. Mm-hmm. You can step up to 2-4. You don't overtake them, but you make up ground. Long season to go. I just want to run through this really quickly. We play Vegas on Saturday night. Yep. The next Saturday we're back here. San Diego comes to town. Yep. Then Bay Area comes to town. Then we go out to Tucson. That is all Western Conference opponents. If you could somehow run the table on those 4 games, all of a sudden you're sitting at 5-4. Mm-hmm. Above 500 with lots of conference wins in your pocket.
Yep.
And the only one, I think all of those are winnable games. The only one I would deign to say this is going to be a tough game is Bay Area, but we beat Bay Area. Like, I can't say, well, that's going to be a hard win because we've done that. Weston checking in. I believe in Coach Fuller.
Love it.
Of course. No reason not to at this point. We haven't seen anything. We haven't seen anything that would make me question his decision-making or his ability to lead the team. The players all speak highly of him, and Coach Bain speaks of him. And I think a lot of Jonathan Bain, and we're going to have him on in a few minutes and discuss with him, just get to know him a little better. I've liked Jonathan Bain for years. I remember watching him when he was in Carolina 3 seasons ago. I think that's right. And being very impressed with Jonathan Bain.
Yeah, you were banging the table for the Gunslingers to get him. I remember.
And we did, and then that didn't work out, which is one of those things that I don't know if a lot of people remember. Jonathan Bain was this close to being your quarterback of the San Antonio Gunslingers that season after he was in Carolina. That off season, he was. He was a gunslinger quarterback. He just never played a game. Happened. If you did not know that happened. So, and I like him. I've always liked him. I'm very excited to get a chance to finally talk to him. I've wanted to. He was one of those players of other teams that I used to talk about. Maybe we should bring him on the show. Even though he's not one of our guys, like maybe we should bring him on the show. He's a Texas guy. There's a connection there. I can make an excuse for us having Jonathan May. I'm very excited to have him on. I'm very excited. I think we said that the 5 games that we were going into that were all Western Conference games, we needed, I think I said before we started that we needed to go 4-1 so that we could be above 500. Well, I haven't changed my mind. It's just we've lost the 1. And so now we need to run the table on those other, 4.
I agree.
It's going to get tough on the back end of that. We do not get a bye week between going to Tucson and then coming back here to host Quad City. Quad City is a very good football team right now. And then the third and final game on June 14th against Tulsa. Then we go to San Diego. Tucson is here. Jacksonville. Good Lord, where is that bye week? That bye week is, we've got one more bye week, but I'm not seeing it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, okay, there it is.
It's the end of June.
It's the end of June, yeah. It's the last weekend of June is that bye week. So if we got to get all the way to the San Diego game before we're free. And by that time, you will have played another 5 Western Conference games. You will have 2 out-of-conference games, but you will have 5 in-conference games. If you have a winning record, I don't think you can even just have a winning record. I think you have to be, you can probably have a winning record with those 7 games and still be in the playoff hunt. Because a lot of those wins will be Western Conference wins.
Western Conference, yeah. Those are the ones. Those are the important ones. I mean, when you look at where we're at in Western Conference, I mean, we're 1-2. So we're just a game out of 500.
Yeah. Ralph checking in on Facebook, which is rare for him. He's usually on YouTube. Nobody would notice that but me, Ralph. But I'm gonna call it. Jonathan is one of the toughest, most resilient men I've ever met, and I've met some. You certainly have. Ralph, former military. For those of you that did not know for some reason that he is a veteran, he is. And he gives all glory to God. I'm very excited to get a chance to talk to Jonathan Bain. The only thing that I was okay with when we did not end up landing Jonathan Bain in that offseason is that we did end up with Robert Kent Jr. again. And I was okay with that. I liked that guy too. And so I was like, okay, well, if we can't get that guy, let's get this guy, and that's okay. So, right, that's the season we got him a second time, right? We had Robert Kent twice.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. I thought that was right. So, looking at it all, we're going to learn a lot over the next 2 months. Mm-hmm. We have a big run here through May and then through June. And right about the time we are buying fireworks, we're going to know everything we need to know about this team. And then we finish out the season. Back half of the season, Leo, is scary looking, really. It is where we will... It is the crucible to me because we do have that game against Quad City, Tulsa. That second game is going. Tulsa is playing really good football all of a sudden, by the way.
They are.
Yeah. But we come back off that bye. We've got Tucson. Okay. We got to go to Jacksonville. Always a big game. Jacksonville's playing very well. We've got Arizona, and then we finish with Northern Arizona. So that Jacksonville, Arizona time right there at the end of the season might be one of those things where you're needing wins to improve your playoff position.
Yep, 2 key games right there.
We've been talking about him already tonight. He just popped into the green room down here, so we're going to bring him straight on because I have really wanted to have this conversation for years now. It's a chance to finally welcome to the Smoking Guns podcast, Jonathan Bain. Jonathan, how are you, sir?
What's up, fellas? Appreciate y'all having me on tonight. Doing well.
I can't believe it. I wore this particular hat because since you joined the Gunslingers, I have seen you in nothing but this hat.
That hat.
Every time, and I was like, I'm wearing my Bane hat tonight.
Well, I gotta ask, is that my hat? Because I can't find mine last week.
You took his hat, Philip.
It's been a week. I felt so crazy without it. I actually just went and bought another hat, and I got a couple more Gunslinger hats. I need to go grab one probably, but had this one. But yeah, I'm missing that hat, so I'm gonna be watching you, Philip. I don't know. Yeah, no,
I may have. So
how's it going though, fellas? Y'all doing all right?
We're doing well. We're doing well. We were just kind of ruminating over the schedule, and we're talking about the 7-game stretch that you guys are going to have starting here this week, moving through the next 2 months. It is really going to tell us everything we need to know about this team by the time we get to the end of that 7-game stretch. This is the opportunity. We talked a little bit earlier. You tell me, because you're a lot closer into this, and you know this a lot better than I do. The beginning of this season has felt kind of herky-jerky, start and stop, and very tough to get in any kind of rhythm. That's not going to be a problem for the next 7 weeks.
A lot of changes.
Right.
You get to kind of get into a rhythm and move forward. Am I wrong on that? Is that what you're kind of looking at here as a coach?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're trying to do. No, like I've mentioned before on other podcasts, there's no excuses for us at all, and I promise we're not making any.
Right.
But it's just all about being consistent because you see a lot of highs. I mean, if you look at the last few games, and I'm not just trying to be one of those guys to just look at it always half full, but realistically, man, we played some really good football at times, specifically our defense. I mean, man, the way they've been holding teams to shoot anything under 45 is amazing in this game, and I think just about every game, but maybe Arizona, we haven't, and you saw that was a shootout against all of them, all that adversity we faced. So I keep looking at it as we're a few plays away from being, 4-1, 3-2, you know what I'm saying? And and fortunately, 2 of our losses, you don't ever like to lose. I definitely don't. But there is a positive that they didn't go against our, Western Conference standings. So, we're upset about them. We took the film, tried to use it where we could, correct what needed to be corrected. But at the end of the day, it has no factor in where we stand in the conference. And other than, well, now Arizona having a loss and then Bay Area, I mean, everybody else is all in a bunch there, and it's just all about separating. And Coach Fuller preaches you want to win early so you're not chasing late. And y'all kind of saw that last season here, where you lose early. And when you finally start catching stride, it's just a lot harder when you're limited with the amount of games you have left, So we've let a few slip away. But most importantly, it's just about executing on a consistent level, and that's professional ball across the board, NFL, IFL, XFL. You can't be like this. You got to constantly – you want to peak at the playoffs, honestly.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's got to be a constant, climb of some sort. It may be a little lighter than others some weeks, but that's got to be the ultimate goal, and everybody's got to be on one accord and kind of seeing that in order to, to really make that a reality. Look,
everybody would love to go into the season and have a hot start. Everybody wants
that. For sure.
But nobody knows better than Gunslingers fans that going 5-0 at the beginning of the season means nothing.
Nothing
by the time you get to the end of the season. Because we went, we did that. And by the end of that season, I know that was the season that You were in Orlando, I believe, that season. Was that the season that you were with Orlando that we went 5-0 and then just kind of fell apart at the back end of the schedule?
I believe it was. I was in Carolina that year.
Were you? Okay.
Yes, sir. I believe. Now, was that 23 or 22? I wasn't sure. If you tell me which year, I'd be able to tell you.
23. It was 23.
Okay, that was. I was originally signed here, and then ended up being. Yeah, so I went to Orlando for the 2 games. Yes, sir.
Yeah. To mention that, because you bring that up, we talked just before you came on. There was a point that we were very close to having Jonathan Bain at quarterback here in San Antonio. That didn't work out.
And, it's a tough deal. I really was looking forward to that. Actually being able to come back to the home state. I ran into the Racklers while I was in Carolina. It was their first game. I think they ever were owners. I think was the story.
Yeah, it was.
They showed up to Carolina. Mm-hmm. They were in their boots and just looked like some folks that I grew up around. You know what I mean? I just kind of joke at them. They're announcing our names for the introductions, and I looked over, shook their hand, and kind of gave them a wink and was like, "Hey, I'd like to holler at y'all sometime. I'm trying to come back home." And
I find it so interesting that even though that didn't work out, a couple of years later, situation has changed for you, and you move into coaching. You wind up here. I have to think, Jonathan, that in the indoor game, you don't burn bridges. When things don't work out, when whatever connection doesn't get made like you want it to, so many coaches, so many other players, so many ownership groups move around that if you're not careful, if you start burning bridges when things don't connect exactly the way you thought they should, you can really hurt yourself down the road for opportunities. You're not that guy.
Yeah, for sure. And just, the fact I knew how such good people, the Racklers were and the way they came off. And I knew there was nothing, on their end that, they weren't holding up. It was just a little miscommunication, and we don't have to dive into all that. It was another deal. But just to your point, absolutely. I mean, look at this. Who would have thought? I thought I was going to be playing until I was 40 years old. I loved this game. Really enjoyed it. It was a huge part of my life. Spent a whole decade playing. That's kind of cool to say, 10 years. And, it's meant a lot to me, and it's a special game. And I always say I'm an arena/indoor lifer, as long as I can keep getting opportunities. I would love to take everything I've learned from some of the greats I've been around, from coaches to even players. I got to, be around and learn and just be a sponge. And now I just want to pour that back into the new up and coming group, and whoever wants to learn, whoever wants to listen, heck, if it's a fan, if it's a player, if it's another coach, whatever, I'm always willing to talk the game and learn more about the game. And, and like you said, though, before I get on rants, it is true. You don't want to burn bridges, especially with good people. It's just weird. You never know how this world works. You never know where it's going to take you. And, and this is a prime example, and I'm very appreciative of the opportunity and the Racklers and Stubings to take a chance on me.
I'll tell you a quick story. I've always held you in fairly high regard, even though this is probably the first time we've ever had a real actual conversation. We've said hi to each other.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
But a real conversation. But as I was messaging you for tonight on Messenger, I ran across a Facebook conversation we had a couple of years ago when you were in Orlando. You suffered a pretty grisly looking injury.
I remember that.
It was pretty rough. And I'm a pastor here in South Texas, and I tend to compartmentalize my football work from my church work, from this, from that. Like, I don't try to cross the streams too often there. But the Sunday after you got injured, I remember standing in front of my church and asking that they be in prayer for you, because it was a pretty rough looking injury. And it was one of those few times I've crossed the streams. And I let you know that on that conversation. That was the part that I was reading over. And I'm just amazed at how this community of indoor football becomes a community that, like, nobody else in the world outside knows a lot about this indoor football community, but you find that and make a lot of connections all the way throughout this community. And so even before you were part of the Gunslingers organization, we were excited to follow you. And again, when you got injured there in Orlando, I was in Corpus for a work meeting, watching that game and just praying that you were going to be okay, because that was a pretty rough looking injury and nobody's fault. It's just one of those things that happens,
Tough deal, it's the game of football. It's a rough one, but I want to thank you for that, for the prayers and for reaching out, because in that moment, just know, and again, to piggyback on what you said about this indoor and arena community, I got goosebumps talking about it right now. I really do, is because the amount of love and support I received from teams I've played for in the past, teams I played against my whole career, fans I've never, you know what I mean? That it had nothing to do with touchdowns. It had nothing to do with championships. It had nothing to do with wins or losses. It was strictly just people rallying around me, showing their love, praying. Praying was the main thing that got me through that. And then the second surgery I had this past year after re-injuring myself, prayer is what it is. The doctors can tell you one thing, but I know who the ultimate physician is. Right. He has shown up in my life and my family's life in so many miraculous ways that you had to be there to see it, to really understand. But I do appreciate the prayers and the continued prayers to anybody out there watching, the indoor community, or just everybody in general. Meant the world to me. And I appreciate you, Philip, for reaching out to me back then. I do remember you reaching out. And just during those times, just know, just a message like that and a prayer, how far it really went, with a person like myself. And it was truly appreciated.
You bet.
Absolutely, man.
Go, Leo. Go, Leo.
I was giving him a chance to read the comment there from Weston. I saw that.
My bad. I was out. My
Coach
bad.
Bain was reading that. No, it's fine. Coach Bain, it's interesting you brought up, some points on your career and your 10-year career in the indoor game and your history there and the successes you've had. So that was one of the questions I had for you. Transitioning into as a coach, in your role as a coach here with the San Antonio Gunslingers, I think you're the first coach that we've had here at Gunslinger Nation that transitioned directly after a playing career and then spent their entire professional playing career in the indoor game and having as much success as you have and did. How do you think that prepared you for this new role, and what kind of edge does that give you as far as your approach in coaching these the current players?
Honestly, my career was interesting in a sense of, if you notice, I think I played on 7 or 8 teams, right? Mm-hmm. In this game, it's just so up and down, and you get a lot of goods, you get a lot of bad, you get a lot of ugly, and just so being different stops I've made, I got a lot of love for all the different, they all have a huge impact on my career and my life. But there are certain stops I made that, I was playing, but also was wearing a couple of different hats as well, from marketing to try to get sponsorships to the seats, to selling tickets, to, helping Coach Fuller out wherever he needed. I played for him for so many years, and there's a couple of stops we made where wasn't a big staff, and Coach Fuller was the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coach. So, I mean, this guy, he's always done it all. And that's another thing I'm appreciative of, is to get to work with him, after all these years spent playing for him, just to kind of speak his language, but just to get back to your question, I think it transitioned well, and I hope it is at least. I try to go out there and give them everything I got. And just over the last few years specifically, I've kind of taken on that player coach role in the last few teams that I played on, having a huge impact on the offensive game plan and, things of that nature, getting a chance to, kind of have a big, input with what's going on in a sense with the offense. So, and I don't try to be, people say, how much different is it? Honestly, I haven't tried to act any different. I tried to always be that coach on the field anyways, kind of that embrace that quarterback role, since you're a kid, you got to know what everything's going on from the offense, the receivers, O-line, running back, to the defensive line, linebackers, secondary. I mean, you got to know that's part of our job, and I've always taken pride in that, and really studied the game. And so therefore now, I'm transitioning into a coach, and I just still try to be that, when I'm on the field. I still see the game the same way, and I'm constantly learning and getting better with it each day, being with Coach Fuller. And, Coach Johnson. And so, you know, it's been a pretty smooth transition, I guess you would say. Is from a leadership standpoint, you know, playing quarterback, you got to always kind of have those qualities. And then a coaching standpoint, you know, just being a real student of the game and you know, just putting in my time. You know, I definitely take pride in this game and very passionate about it. If you're ever around me on a football field, I really, you know, sometimes wear my emotions on my sleeve just because it means so much to me, you know, and I try to keep that in check as a coach, you know, because you got to. But as far as just trying to get the most out of each and every player is really my ultimate goal. And, you know, that's kind of what I did as a quarterback. So hopefully I'm making the right transition. You know, hopefully it's going smooth. You know, that would be a question for others, I guess. You know, I feel like it's going good, and I'm going to continue to grow and get better in each and every way I can. Therefore, I can make those around me better. So whatever that takes.
James Palmer says, so no Bain returning to play quarterback? You're not going to suit back up and throw the ball around for the
man, James, I promise you right now, I would give a lot, man. I don't want to say nothing crazy, but I would literally give a lot to be able to take one more snap.
Sure.
We don't have to get into it, but I suffered a really bad spinal cord injury this past season in the AFL back in June. And man, I'm talking rough. Had to relearn how to walk, was hospitalized for 30 plus days. It was a tough deal. And whenever I was sitting there and realizing just how blessed and thankful I was to be, you know, moving and then now walking and being able to toss the ball around with the guys. I promise you, if I could, I actually, Coach Fuller, if he's watching, he'll laugh. But I met with a spine doctor the other day and I said, so here's a scenario. What are the odds this guy comes back to play football? And they said that would be like suicide. So I don't want to do that.
Nope.
The game really has been good to me. I can say I tried to give everything I had to the game. Literally, I tried to, you know, literally give everything. You know, 2 neck surgeries, and some people called me stupid. Some said I was crazy. I just say, man, I loved it. You know, it was really hard. You know, because I know that there's a shelf life on all football players, right?
Sure.
And there is an end date. You don't know when it is, but mine was last year, and I didn't even think after that injury that was it. You know, so it really, you know, it was a tough transition for me, man. I ain't gonna lie. Anybody that knows me in the game as a player, they know they probably would have said the same thing. I'd have played till I was 50 or 60, or until somebody, matter of fact, till somebody just said, "Hey, you just can't do it no more." That's probably when I'd have quit, but.
Your story, I know a little bit about your story, not near as much as you do. It's your story. But your story is one of resilience. I think all the way back to, because I've been reading up and paying attention to you for a lot longer than you've been a part of the Gunslingers. Out of high school, you signed to go play football. There's a car accident. You're not able to do that. But you're still...
I was told I'd never walk again, man. From
the
waist down. I was, you know, about to live in a wheelchair. This was like real life. I was 17 years old.
Wow.
You know, it was I'm telling you, God has worked in really, you know, miraculous ways in my life, and I have to give him all the glory. And my praying mama, man, she is her prayer circle and everybody else. I'm saying everybody that's has a huge impact on it. But yeah, starting then, man, it's just been a journey.
You fight through that. You find a home in indoor football. You end up catching on in Jacksonville and have this really incredible season that then sees injury play into the back half of the season. Yep. And then you're able to come back. You have this kind of incredible game to lead your team to the championship in 2019. You get an opportunity, then you play for Carolina. You get an opportunity to move up, step up to the IFL, sort of that crown jewel of indoor football, and COVID happens. And
2020. I was in Frisco. Yep, Frisco.
Yeah, shuts down the whole thing. You get this opportunity to play in Texas, something that you'd wanted to do for a long time, and all of a sudden COVID shuts everything down, and that doesn't work out.
Even crazier, we were at the arena. And it was March 27th or something like that. And I'm not much of a news guy. I don't watch much TV. Kind of old school, I guess, in a sense. I just kind of not much social media. But, yeah, we get to the game and we're getting ready to get taped and everything. And we get a mass text from the coach. Hey, we're not playing tonight. There's a virus going around. They're shutting down the game. And we're all like, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? And so, yeah, that was the last of that. It was a one-day deal. And, yeah, shut down. So, no 2020.
Wow.
How another person, a different person that is not you, could have the things dropped in their path that you've had, and at some point just go, somebody's trying to tell me something. I give up. It's clear. This is not where I belong, or this is not what I belong doing. You haven't done that. You've stayed with this all the way through, and now you're coaching. Why? What is that? What is it that's driven you through all of these things to stay and to be connected to the game the way you are?
A lot, man. Most importantly, I've always given credit to the kind of what drives me, being doing it for the ones that's always been in my corner, that's always believed in me, starting with my family from day one, taking me to practices as kids, knowing the sacrifices they've made for me daily, and as a kid, you don't really realize that. The older I got, I started really using that because everybody goes through adversity, but just speaking on myself and my life, there comes a point in time when you got to do it for something bigger than yourself, just the human nature, just being honest. And I've learned this, and you're going to reach a point where you're going to go to reach for something and dig for something to keep going, and whatever that is. And you're going to need something to pull from. And usually, some people like to say I do it for the haters and the people who don't, think I can do it. But there's no substance in that for me. You know what I mean? Those people are irrelevant. That kind of stuff's irrelevant to me. But those who really sacrifice the time, the money, the prayers, the support, just a message, just hey, keep going. Hey, you're an inspiration. Hey, because my story's been crazy. I didn't get to play varsity sports my junior or senior year of high school. That's another, it was a transfer rule. It was the most crazy thing, out of my control, out of my hands. I should have quit football then, to be completely honest with you. Like, what was I doing? I didn't even get to play, but I practiced every single day. I was the first one there, last one to leave. That was my game day. Every day of practice, and my high school teammates and coaches, I love them all. They can tell you I gave them the best scout team look you could ever get in high school, because that was my game day every single day. And I truly treated it that way. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go play football. It's what I'm going to do. And every road, and we can get into that. You probably might want to make a whole podcast on that, just how it went, but just brief, everything, man. It's always been an obstacle. And then eventually, man, as life went on, and after the first car accident and being told by doctors, you won't ever do this, you won't ever do that, and just kind of ruling you out, and just having this weird faith inside me, and literally with a smile on my face, like, you're wrong though. You know what I mean? Like, there's more to this. I think, at least let me try something, from whether it was relearning to walk again or get moving again. And, I'm I remember being in a wheelchair, and 17 years old, I would wheel in and have to do these little bench press exercises. And of course it's physical therapy. So they're like, 2 sets of 4, and I'm like, hold on, I got football season coming up. And they're looking at me like I'm nuts. Like, right. Listen here, kid, you're done, buddy. Like, but just having something, I don't know, man, it was just something in me. It's always been in me. I think it's the way we were raised. My whole family's really special. My brothers, 2 older brothers and a sister that are just absolutely kicking butt in life, man. And not to say that bragging, I'm just saying they're just resilient individuals. And that's what I was surrounded with, as a kid, and just always adversity and overcoming it. We never made excuses. The biggest quote, my brother always would tell me too, is just adapt and overcome, man. That's life. That's in a football game. Heck, that's on this podcast. If you ask me a question out of left field, I'm not going to just say, oh no, I'm going to have to adapt and overcome. You know what I mean? And that's just, something I live by. And then it was be where your feet are. I always wanted to play in the NFL, man. I wanted to really do that. That was the ultimate goal. That was the dream. And honestly, my first few years in indoor, in arena, I didn't, I think I started getting comfortable and didn't treat it as so, just because I almost got to that, my time was ticking. I'm like, woe is me. Like, why didn't I get my shot? Why, and until somebody told me, be where your feet are. Because you have no control but what you got going on right now in this moment. You know what I mean? So what's the point in stressing about what coulda, shoulda, woulda? Man, dominate here. That's the only chance you're going to even have. You know what I mean? You got to. And even then, I've seen, some of the greatest indoor arena quarterbacks you've ever seen in your life. The most talented dudes you've ever seen in your life never get shots in the NFL. It's just, it's a game to get into. And I still push every guy, hey, if that's your dream, and go get it, man. But you got to empty the tank, because you're already behind the 8 ball by not being there already. You know what I mean? Age is every year is different. There's new 21, 22-year-olds, thousands thousands, tens and 20s of thousands coming out every year. But yeah, so then I really started growing to love it and having an appreciation for it. And then after that, it was just like, how long, and the old saying, until I'm done having fun with it, you know what I mean? Like, this was fun to me, man. There's nothing like Saturday, really Monday through Saturday. Anybody else, I love practice, man. I wanted to take the regular reps, the scout team reps. I just did. I mean, I just realized, and maybe it was the injuries I've been through. Maybe it was being told you'll never do this, you'll never do, maybe just to appreciate it truly, because it was swiped from me before at some point. So, yeah, man, I just appreciate it. I appreciate the game and what it's, the joy it's brought me.
Well, you play the game on Saturday, but you win the game on Monday, on Tuesday.
Absolutely. And that's what we're preaching to these guys now. Saturday's supposed to be like, I call it payday. For one, your game, so you're going to get paid. Two, it's payday, man. You punch the clock all week. You've watched film on them all week. You should know what they're going to throw at you. And yes, they're pros. They might make adjustments, and that's fine. But it is what it is, what you see on film, and then you go watch, it's just amazing. And it took me to really start being a student of the game to when you drop back and you're like, I've been going against this all week. Coach Fuller has prepared me for this moment all week. And then that's when I started seeing an increase in my game, is when I started really trying to just know the game of football, ins and outs. I pick his brain more about defenses than I do about offensive play calls. Because, you can put people where you want to put them, but I want to know to the core why they're running what coverage, what their responsibility is, where they're vulnerable, how to attack. You know what I mean? That is, to me, that's the man. It's like it's the coolest feeling in the world. It really is. That's like I don't know. I don't smoke or dip or do it. That's my nicotine, honestly, is watching film and breaking down, a game and trying and doing that chess match, trying to say, okay, you're in this, well, watch this, and putting them in a bind and making them, kind of dictating what you want them to do. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of in control there, and that's no greater feeling, man.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing you say is that it's not just a question of talent to have success, but it's also a state of mind and your attitude. And that seems to be just as big a challenge for some of these guys as it is the talent. They have all the physical tools and the talent, but they have to have that mindset and that attitude to have the success that they desire. Now that you're a coach and not just a player, and you mentioned coaching on the field, I mean, is that's something that you find yourself having to deal with and encourage guys and kind of make them, see the light in that aspect?
Man, it's all between the ears. I really say that all the time. It is. You wouldn't be here if you weren't talented. You know what I mean? Like, just being real on any of these teams in the IFL. If you didn't have talent, you wouldn't be there. It's just point blank period. People are paying you money. They're not going to just throw their money at you because you're so-and-so. It's just not. You got to have talent, man, because the eye in the sky don't lie, and everybody would be out of jobs if they just signed their friend or just let anybody play. But where you see the separation of players is between the ears, man, whether it's being mature enough to handle adversity, that one play, boom, wash it, interception, cool, wash it, go answer the next play, fumble, whatever it may be, missed tackle, anything on missed field goal for an extra point, or extra point, your kickers, whatever it is being able to control the mental aspect of the game, to be able to throw a bomb touchdown and in a big moment and not get too high. You know what I mean? Because you got to go back out there and make another play, and you can't be out there just living in a fantasy world because you just did something cool the last play, So it really is all mental, man. And that's from, the guys that are injured. The body's going to heal. It's going to take its time. It's going to heal. You're going to get it right. You know what I mean? But it's staying locked in upstairs. And I'm a prime example. I had to learn that, the first time I was ever truly injured and not like put to a halt and like, I can't do what, like, whoa, your mental starts to go, man. You start thinking all this. And when you're in the pro game, you're thinking, oh my gosh, is my spot going to get taken? Is it going to be there when I get back? Does anything I've done up to this injury matter going forward? Or am I going to be labeled a injury prone, whatever.
Right.
So it's really just a mental battle. Man, that's in everyday life. That's working the jobs you work. Just being honest, you're talented enough to do your job or you wouldn't have the job. But whatever it may be, stress from your work, your boss, home life, whatever, man, life. It's just life. It's all adversity. So, but yeah, I would definitely say playing this game though, the mental side of it is everything. And then also being able to process information at a very high speed. It's arena football, fastest game on the planet. Mm-hmm. So you not only got to process information, but you got to process it efficiently at a very, very high speed.
Right.
So it's tough. I ain't going to sit here and just preach it like it's an easy game, man. And I was still growing in the game as I was playing, and I would have continued. I tell these guys every day, you can never know this stuff enough. I promise. Never, ever.
So let's switch gears and talk specifically about your team this year, because that's what we're all looking at. And you've had this bye week. It's no secret that the offense, for whatever reason, has not come together, has not gelled. All the pieces are there. You've got some really talented guys. Last week on our show here, I kind of posited that it seems like the part that we really are having some struggles with is protection. And if we could just figure out some protection issues at times, we might have a little extra time. And Guy, who is, I guess, is Guy quarterback one going forward, or are you guys looking at Zach, or you're keeping that under wraps because there's no reason to tell Vegas that information right now?
Yeah, no, it ain't even that. It's just, pro ball right now. I mean, there's no hiding it. Offense is an issue right now, and it's about executing. It truly is. And I mean, I don't want to dive off into too much detail, but the best players got to play on Saturdays. So I say at 1-4, and I knew this as a player, nobody's job safe. And just to be honest, Guy's done well stepping in. He made some really good plays for us this past weekend. It's we just need to execute at a high level at all times, especially in big moments. And this, ain't a shot at Guy. This is anybody on our team, from whether it be a holding call after a touchdown, or whatever, jumping off, being inside the 5-yard line and then jumping off sides and then taking a sack, and so it's just executing all across the board. And this week, they're going to duke it out. These guys, everybody's got a chance to play. We tell them every week, though. That should be understood as a pro. Nobody's job. Me as a 10-year pro last year, I didn't ever go to practice thinking I just had this in the bag. Like this is much, you know what I mean? Every day I put it in, and I hope that's what how they're approaching it, because we are 1-4, and we're only scoring 24 points a game. That's never been a thing with Coach Fuller, in his career. Right. And it's just about executing, and we got to be better as coaches. We got to do our thing better, but just overall, it's about executing, and we got to open this offense up, though. We got to be able to throw the ball, man. Like we didn't have one pass and we got guys running wide open, and I get it, and we could dive into it on a whole X's and O's thing,
sure,
another time, but it's with protection, I hear that sometimes, and I've seen in the comments, but a lot of times they're bringing a blitz and we got 3 blockers, right? But we have outlets in the passing game, because if they're bringing a blitzer, that means we have the numbers. And for whatever reason, we're just not executing right now in that manner. And we're going to find a way to do it regardless. Whoever it is at any position, it's going to get done, because we got a standard, and we got to all come to the standard, as coaches, as players. The ownership, front office, everybody does their part, man. We couldn't ask for a better situation as a football team, honestly.
Right.
From how they do us, the facility, from everything, man. This is the greatest place. I played for 10 years, and I tell them daily, not even just to pat them on but like, it is special, and it's so cool to be a part of, to see people that genuinely care and are behind you in this game. It is so rare, and it is the coolest thing in the world. And I really appreciate, and I'm fortunate for every day I'm here. So getting back to that's what we're going to give back, though. And we got to win some ball games, because the talent's there. It's just some execution errors, and we either got to get it done or not, and that's what Coach preached today. You're either here, can't be here. You got to be consistent to play this game. And that's what we're looking for. So
Alex McSwain, who is a longtime Gunslinger fan, asks about special teams. He says, what goes into deciding when you go for an onside kick or squib kick, long kick, deuces? Is that situational calls? Is that a game plan that you guys come up with beforehand? Is it a mix of both?
Yeah,
like,
there's always
make those decisions.
I'll always say this anytime. I probably said it in almost any interview. Is there's a method to the madness, and I learned that with Coach Fuller. Like, I promise you, everything's well thought out, well planned throughout the week. A lot of it has to do when we're talking deuces and kickoffs is how's the kicker feeling that day. And honestly, it's not just how is he feeling, like, oh, he's not. It's how's the ball coming off your foot? Do the balls have enough air in them? You know, there's a million factors. Is the jumbotron too low for you in this arena?
Right.
Can you go for the deuce?
Mm-hmm.
How are you kicking your squibs? If you haven't noticed, man, our kicker, those squib kicks, we're pinning them inside the 5 and 10 yard line,
right.
Like 60% of the time on them. Like, that's insane. And if you got a guy that can do that, heck, why not keep using it, until they figure out a way to field it clean. And as far as onsides go, there's a lot of stuff. And sometimes earlier this year, actually, y'all might have been like, what are they doing kicking an onside? When it comes to that last minute of each half, the half and then the last minute of the game, you try to steal possessions when you can. And that's just like some, long time unwritten, AFL indoor rules. You try to steal those possessions, and because if you onside it, they get the ball on the 10. But if they score, cool, they didn't waste much clock. And then also on the other flip side of that is it's hard to score inside the 10. There's a lot of people down there.
Right.
As people think, the closer you get, you're like, man, they should have scored there on the 5. Well, yeah. Do you know there's a lot of folks in that little bitty area?
Yes, 16 people within 8 to 10 yards worth of space. Yeah.
Rounded end zones cuts off, a big chunk of the field too.
Sure.
So there's always a rhyme or reason to it. And then, like I say, a lot of it has to do with how our kicker's feeling. Does he feel like he's got his pop-up's good today? Does he feel like his dribble's good? You know what I mean? Like, how's he kicking that week? He's a pro, and we allow him to kind of let us know where he stands. And, even from field goals, hey, where do you feel comfortable this week? How far?
Jordan Stubing, you think adversity is your ally, but you merely adopted the adversity. I was born.
That's that Batman. Yeah,
Bane,
I never did watch much Batman, and then the older I got, people started quoting that, and I looked it up, and I'm like, wait, Bane was kind of cool, man. He reminds me of my my middle brother was like a big, beefy middle linebacker, crazy as heck. Looked just like that dude in the movie. So I was like, yeah, man, that's kind of cool. So, but yeah, adversity, that's exactly what it's been, and it sometimes kicks my butt.
Sure.
And it has. I'm not going to sit here and act, but I will tell you, just going through it, the more it's just try to throw a smile on my face, try to bring a smile to other people's face. Because if you really try, you don't know how good that feels to you too. Just being able to spread love and smiles, and who knows whose day you're going to make, because no matter what you, I, or anybody's going through, there's somebody out there going through worse. And you got to keep on keeping on. That's old Joe Dirt quote for you there. But, but yeah, man, adversity, man, you got to love it though, because it really does mold you and kind of, you grow your most during those times. And I think it's pretty cool.
Leo, you've been banging a drum for a couple of weeks now. Do you want to have a conversation here with Coach Bain about your theory?
Well, I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way. I'll be a little less specific on my one gripe, and I'm sure Coach Bain probably has heard or seen some of the comments or suggestions, because I know I'm not the only person. But the way I do want to phrase this and kind of give Coach Bain an opportunity to convince me or anyone else in my camp that thinks the way I have otherwise. So when you look at you mentioned the Gunslingers defense and how well they've performed so far this season, and kind of getting the offense up to speed. And I don't think anybody would argue against that. One thing that I think, though, we can't argue or we've noticed a trend in this league this year. You see a lot more, 30 and 40 point games than you see like in the past, where we've had 50, 60s, and 70s points dropped in a game. And you look down week by week and look at these games, and you just don't see that as often. There's been some games in the 50s and a couple in the 60s, but by and large, it's more 30s and 40s. And it seems like maybe the game has changed a little bit with some of the rules, the rule changes, or just the way this league has approached the indoor game. Do you think that maybe the game has changed, or I know that one of the topics on this subject is, kicking the field goal when the points are there to take an opportunity to take those points rather than leave empty-handed when you fail on the fourth down conversion. So that said, do you think the game might be changing a little bit and some of that needs to be looked at, or do you think it's just a period of adjustment, not just for the Gunslingers, but for the entire league? And you think eventually the offenses are going to catch up? Like, convince those of us who are seeing these numbers and kind of wondering why not take the points when they're there. that it's better to go for it on fourth down and kind of play the traditional brand of indoor football.
That can go. I think, man. I guess the best way that's kind of a personal question per coach, man. Just from my experience, and I really don't think the game's changed much. I mean, nowadays you can kind of stunt with the D line, but honestly, a lot of times they run themselves out of the play. This game is, if your quarterback's playing it like he should, man, the ball's got to be out of there. So if you're running one D end to wrap around the other side of the field, cool. It looks cool. Sometimes it works, if you got to hold on to the ball, if you're covering up on the back end. But at the end of the day, and kind of what I've always been taught, and just the mindset in general. I mean, when I met Tyler Huddle, I said, look, man, he's like, so what do I need to do? I said, kick extra points and kick off. You know what I mean? Squib kicks, onsides, kick extra points. He's like, no field goals. I was like, well, you can't. I was always taught you can't win indoor arena games kicking field goals. That don't mean in the fourth quarter down 2,
right,
you don't kick a field goal to win the game.
Right.
I'm just saying realistically, right? So we back up to Tulsa, I think, was when I first kind of got addressed with a similar question. So the Tulsa game in Tulsa, they scored, I think Ralph had the stats for me, and I've had too many sleeps since then. I've been worried about the future games, but they scored like six possessions in a row, touchdowns or whatever it was. So I understand we didn't convert on 3 4th downs. But at the same time, had we have kicked those 3 field goals, we still lose the game. You get what I'm saying? But if we just get one of those conversions, you know what I mean, and get 6 points out of it, and then, I guess what I'm saying is it's when you're all y'all got to experience that last year, putting up 60+ points a game and somehow still losing, which is insane. Right. But when your offense is clicking, you didn't even know TC Stevens until it was time for a deuce, you know what I mean, or extra point.
Right.
Right. And he's the best kicker I've ever seen in this game. I love Tyler, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. But, just really giving shout out to TC. But he knew that. He said this, TC will tell you, if I'm having to kick field goals, we're probably not winning many football games. And it might work here and there, but you got to play the numbers and the odds, right? That's 9 feet wide field goal post. I think if you really and truly took the stat of every kicker in the league, not just ours, but every kicker in the league, the true field goal attempt make percentage, I'd actually be interested to see that. Because I bet it's not far off the 4th down conversion. I bet it ain't, and the 4th down, you still got a chance to get 6, 7, 8 points compared to a field goal is just 3. That is, they're still needed though. Don't get me wrong, brother.
No.
I don't mean that.
No. Yeah.
And I do appreciate your question as a sports fan, as a football, a huge indoor fan. That's a great question. And, you may get different answers from different coaches, but kind of the way I was brought up in the old school game was they told me I will not have a job, and I was the quarterback, if our kicker's kicking field goals. That just means I'm not executing. And it's not to point fingers at our quarterbacks, but we got to execute because there are plays to be made there. And, and if Coach Fuller's got something dialed up, I can promise from experience, man, I've been on the good and bad side of it, not going to the right person. I get it. It's a fast game, man, but that's why we try to prepare. I promise we prepare more than any team in this. And I'm sorry to the other teams out there, but I'll stand on it. We prepare so much for each and every Saturday. Like we try to have it dialed in and it's far. So we just need to execute it.
You mentioned the width of the goalpost, and that's part of it. The other part of it, and I brought this up on our show several times, but I know that you may not have heard this before, is other iterations of the game, the outdoor game, you have a battery of people that is responsible for a kick. That includes a long snapper, a holder, and a kicker that practice over and over and over and get hundreds of reps per practice on how that works. You don't have that luxury in the NBA game. You don't have those guys that you can just set over in practice and be like, y'all do this for 2 hours while we do everything else. You
Right.
don't have those guys. So
That is tough too.
There's a lot of points in the field goal where a high snap or a low snap or a bad hold changes everything.
Any type of pressure up the middle, because the ball's got to come out at a low trajectory. All of those are factors. You're exactly right about that. And you got linebackers and D linemen. No offense to them, they do a great job for us, but they're not natural blockers. They haven't just been blocked. They've been the enforcer.
Right.
And it's a heck of a lot different technique than blocking the same dude that you are. That's what, whenever I played in the Arena League and that you had to play both ways, our linemen, think about it. You like DNs, do you think you can block yourself? Like if you were on the other, no, you know what I mean? Like that's a tough deal. They're pass rushers. They're but now you're asking them to do another, and they do a great job. And that's what makes this game so unique and cool is the short number of people, right? Because you get to see guys kind of wear different hats. I mean, I've had players where receivers are your deep snapper. Here we have Quan. He's amazing. Our field goal unit is really good though. With Guy Holden, he gets down good holds. Tyler loves it. He loves the consistency. And anytime your kicker's happy, I promise we're all happy. Those guys they're usually pretty picky about everything. So coming from a holder, I promise, man, that's their world and we just live in it.
What's the attitude of this team after a season where you start with one head coach and that has changed? You start with one quarterback, that has changed. You've gone 1-4 instead of 4-1 or 3-2. Is there a little bit of trepidation in the locker room right now of, man, why can't we get this figured out? Why can't we get this win in the win column? Is there any sort of anxiety?
I don't think there's any negativity. No, I think we Coach Fuller's made some moves and kind of weeded out some things that needed to be fixed whenever he took over. And we got a really good core, man, a really, really strong core of guys that have, the same mindset and trust in the system. And they're kind of bringing their brothers along. And anybody in football will tell you the great football teams are player-led anyways. You know what I mean? It's a player's game. We're coaches. Cool. And it's weird saying that now because I was always the player, but that was my speeches as a player, man. We are the show. You know what I mean? And it goes as we go. They can call whatever play they want. But we have to go execute it, Right. And we have to stay focused. They could give you the best Vince Lombardi speech you've ever heard in your life. Have you ready to run through a wall? But what does it matter if you're not executing, or if you're not, if you as a collective unit, and I mean that, I'm not just saying, man, we're the best. We're just calling all this perfect play. And like everybody, we're all got to get better. But I'm just saying in the locker room, what you're speaking on, we have a great group of leaders that demand out of the other players, it's just it's a really good combination, man. And I'm not trying to just be cliche, but we got a special team. And once this offense clicks, and I mean, once we can start opening up the passing game and utilize look at our roster, man, at receiver.
Oh man.
No,
they're
literally
the best group of wide receivers in the league. Yeah.
In the entire and not just the 4 you see, the other 2 we have on the roster, that are ready. And
the only downside to our roster on the wide receiver is that not all those guys can play at one time.
Exactly. And
that's the only downside to that is man, we can't get Austin Upshaw in there because we have 4 other amazing
all of it, man. I mean,
there,
just how it all works, man. It's a good problem to have, but like I say, we got to get them boys involved, man. They do a lot for us, and they work their tails off all week. They do everything we ask of them, and when they're running around out there open, we got to get them the rock and reward them. They're blocking their butts off, this past week to open up the run game, which was good. It's like, we're taking steps, but we're trying to take a leap, man. We got to win ball games. Like you said, we don't want to be chasing that late. We're already down a little bit, and it's a long season though. And I think guys are locked in, man. Today's meeting went awesome. Coach came in, you're after the bye week. He set the tone with the message. It was being reiterated by the other players and leaders, hey, it's gut check time, man. You're either in or you're out. And there's a standard, right? And that's why I preached it earlier. We have a standard, what we have set. And there's guys at that standard. There's people but we all got to be there, man. It's not a, Coach, for example, I'm just going to how he graded film this week. Usually he got notes wrote out. I mean, this dude, I'm telling you, he's a football junkie. So he's writing your toe, your big toe should have been here, being a little dramatic, but that's the type of notes. This week, it wasn't. It was, you're either reach the standard This is good enough or it ain't good enough. And you better not have more ain't good enoughs than good enoughs. Just being honest, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's as a collective group, from everybody, from the water boy to me, to the coaches, to everybody. Like, it, you better have more good than bad. And because we're setting a stand, it starts in practice, man. We got to practice like pros, and you know, it's just creatures of habit, man. Humans, it's what we are, creatures of habit. What you do Monday through Friday will show on Saturday. You false start on Monday because you're just kind of, you know, it's practice, you're chilling, you might not have heard the snap count. It's what it is. You know what I mean? Robert, yes, the standard is the standard. It never drops. It can't. You can't. You got to find those that want to rise to the standard. You got to have those that literally want this just as bad as you do. You can't want it for somebody else. Right. But I promise you, we're in America. Football's a big thing. We're going to find guys that want to be a part of this, that appreciate being a part of this, that take pride in being a part of this, and what we represent as San Antonio Gunslingers, you know, from our ownership and the message they present to our fans, to our coaches, to our, you know, captains and those on the team that are playing to that standard. I mean, you just owe it to everybody that's involved. You know what I mean? And there's no other question. This ain't a hobby, man. This is our life. Right. And just because it don't work out here for you don't mean we hate you. You know what I mean? Right. I love you. I'll talk to you from here. But there's the standard's the standard, and that can't change. And that's what I love about working here. That's what I love about working for Coach Fuller, is he's never going to lower that standard. It's not going to ever be okay just to be mediocre. We're never going to be okay with just getting by, you know? And it's pro football. You're going to win games. You're going to lose games. Hey, they get paid too, you know? I want to win every freaking game, man. I hate losing more than I like winning. Oh, you want to win them all? But I'm saying, like, it's a real thing. But I also, as a pro, get it, you know. But as long as we're trying to reach where we're trying to go, if you're really putting it in, not show me better than you can tell me. You know what I mean? If you're really trying to get there and hold that standard and be the you know, the group that brings the first professional championship back here to San Antonio. There you go. It ain't gonna be handed to you, and I promise all 16 teams are preaching the same message. We want to win the championship. We want to bring it back here. What separates those teams is who's going to put it in, man. Who's going to punch that clock, legit punch that clock. Not show up to work, show up ready to work. You know what I mean? Don't just show up and just say I made it. Don't just pull in. Be there early. Get there. Really be in tune. Grind. Be a sponge. Go back home. Work over it again. Don't make the same mistakes twice. You know, that's all that's what we're preaching. We know you're going to mess up, man. Heck, it's football. You know what I mean? Like, how great, who are we to think that it's going to be mistake-free football? Who are we? We'd be just insane. But that don't mean you don't prepare for mistake-free football. That don't mean you grind like you're trying to play mistake-free football. And when you do make a mistake, it should bother you so much that you're like, no, if I make another mistake, it ain't going to be that one. You know what I mean? I might mess up on something else, but if coach told me to stem into the pro hash and I keep running it on the college hash, that's a problem. You know what I mean? Therefore, we're like, hold on, can we even trust you? Are you even coachable? Go mess up by running a different route. You know what I mean? Like, but don't do the same mistake twice. And that goes for every position. And I think we're almost there, man. Like I say, y'all, I mean, we can show you better than we can tell you, kind of just preaching on my own words there, but we can show you. And that's what we plan on doing. But I promise you, we're turning over every stone to try to make this work. And nothing's being overlooked, man. We evaluate every single day for every single position. We're evaluating it. Is this the standard? Does this need to be changed? Okay, if it's not the standard, can it be fixed? Are they fixable? Are they coachable? Are they wanting to be here? You know what I mean? It's not just, oh, they're not playing to a standard we want. We're not, you know what I mean? Oh, just kick them to the curb. Well, then what's coaching? We're here to bring the most out of players. We're here to put them in the best position to be successful. But that don't mean we change who we are and what we expect to try to, you know, cater to a player or a situation. It's like, no, the standard is the standard. You got to come to the standard. You know what I mean? And we're going to try to give you every tool, every blueprint we can come up with to get you there. But it's on you to get there and stay there, you know? And, but we got a good group, man. I hope y'all are positive about this. And I know y'all have been. Y'all been great. But it is a long season, man. And we're 1-2 in conference, and we're right in the middle of the pack, brother. And they're taking 4 of us. And all you can ask for is a ticket to the dance, man. And that's what we're grinding our butt off to do. And we're not looking ahead. It's Las Vegas, 1-0. The old cliche, cool. Cliches are cliches because it's proven over time, man. 1-0. That's what we need. And once we do that, man, winning is contagious, just like losing is. you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we get that win, get that monkey off our back, and you know, go through this mid part of the season strong, and then another bye week, I believe you say, after 7 weeks, right? And then
7 weeks and then a bye, yeah.
Which comes at a good time. You know, you got to appreciate that too. You know,
right? Yeah,
you can get on a roll here, get healed up, and then finish strong through the, you know. But I want to talk to y'all that week and talk about that, because right now, hey,
well, let's do
got
that.
another rematch.
Yeah.
With some, yeah, man. I'm always, you know, I could talk, man. I apologize if I'm dragging on.
No, you're fine.
No. Yeah, that's great.
I love this game, man, and I love what y'all do. I love people that support this game, because those that really know it know how special it really is. It really is a cool, unique game, and all y'all fans out there, if you ain't been, you're missing out.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
You're involved.
Cool.
You're involved. You get to wear several hats. You're also involved in the ticket man.
Yeah, give me a holler. We can get you some tickets. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Whatever questions you got, give me a holler. And yeah, I told them when I first got on, man, wherever I'm needed, truly, because I love this stuff, man. It's not work to me. It ain't like, oh crap, I got to go to work. You know, it's holy. I get to go to work. I get to go be a part of this. I get to go, you know, sell tickets. I get to try to help put fans in the stands. I get to coach these guys. It's all a blessing, man. And that's for each and every one of us out there. If you're listening, man, whatever it is you're doing, it's a blessing. You don't have to do anything in this world. You don't. You really don't. I don't know. I know your mom, when you were growing up, or your parents told you have to do this. That's fine. You did, or you got in trouble. Right. But you don't have to do anything that you get to. It's a privilege, man. And when you do make that decision to walk out that house, just try to make the most of it is all. And that's what I try to do and wherever I'm needed.
That's awesome advice, sir, Jonathan. Yeah.
Well, we did not necessarily plan for you to jump on and take up a whole hour of your time, but
sorry, man. No, that's me.
We are very appreciative, and we will have you on anytime you want to come on, and I'll take you up on that next bye week in 2 months, when you guys have been through 7 weeks of getting in rhythm, finding who you are, determining who this team is, which I think is going to happen over this next 7 weeks. We'd love to have you back then, if not before then.
Yeah. Whenever y'all need, man, whenever y'all need a guest, like I say, I genuinely mean that. I appreciate what y'all do for our game, because it takes special folks, for real. You're pouring into something, you know what I mean? Like this is really cool. The time you sacrifice, once again, doing it for those that really care. Like that's cool to me. Like if I was playing, that would be motivation for me. Even coaching, that's cool, really, man. I appreciate it. So therefore, I won't take an hour segment of your time.
No.
People already know who
anytime.
I am. Anytime. I'm introducing, and I got rolling. But no, I'll be here for any questions, man, football related. If Coach Fuller can't get on the show, or anybody, y'all always feel free to reach me, man. I could talk football all day, as you can tell. So
absolutely, we love it.
Whatever you need from me, man. And I really genuinely appreciate y'all. And even off of here, man, we need to talk more. I'd like to get to know more about you. Like I said, I appreciate who you are, and even as a stranger that you were before, and then now, you know, being on the same side of things, I'd really like to get to know y'all more. So,
Jonathan, thank you so much for your time. Can't wait to get to know you better. I'm very excited that you're part of this organization. From the moment they brought you in as part of the coaching staff, I go, hey, I know that name. And I'm excited that guy's a part of it.
No, I hope we're here to stay, man. But we got to get some wins for the San Antonio folks, because hey, I'm a Texas boy at the end of the day, man. It's you got to win. We love our football, but boy, we like a winner. You got to win.
That's right.
So,
James Palmer says, anytime Philip doesn't have to hear himself talk, I have a little bit of a reputation of being the guy that talks all the time.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Jonathan, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you.
Yeah, much
thank
love.
you, Jonathan.
Guns up. Jonathan Bain, he is your coach and ticket sales guy and motivational speaker and just kind of all of the things for this Gunslinger team. Robert Seco says, I've enjoyed this episode of the Jonathan Bain Show.
Oh, he was awesome.
Man, let's have him on every week. I'm okay with that. I am I'm ready. I'm ready, Leo, to Jordan was talking about us flying out and enjoying a game in Vegas. I'm ready to go play. After listening to Jonathan, he addressed some of your concerns sort of the way he has before, because this conversation about field goals has come up. Do you feel any differently than you did before, or do you still want to see points where you can get points?
I want to see exactly what he said let's look at. I want to see the fourth down conversion rate compared to, and Ralph said it earlier in a comment. Makeable field goal,
right?
Makeable field goal percentage. We're not talking about field goals from your
the
own 5-yard
right.
line. Yeah, with 1 second left and a half. You know, I would love to see that number and kind of make up my mind. But no, he made some very good points.
Yeah,
that made me think a little bit about it. I'm not going to say he completely swayed me the other way, but I definitely understand why he feels that way. But I would love to see those numbers, and it looks like Ralph is his researcher is already alerted on that. So
yeah, he's got a research intern that does all of the work here. I think it's BJ up in Green Bay that does all of that research and knows where to go to find the information, and we'll pull some numbers and we'll have some of that statistical data to break down at some point. Ralph says, tell me what distance we want to call a makeable. I think the positive side of the 25-yard line, the positive side of the field, would be a decent place to kind of draw the line and call it makeable. Don't you think, Leo?
Yeah, I think so. I might, if you want to argue, I might even go 5 yards, to your own 20.
The plus,
kind of makeable. You don't want to skew the stats too far towards the field goals versus going for the fourth. So I would take even from your own 20, or from midfield at the 25-yard line. Ralph Judkins says so 33 yards and in.
Right, because remember, you got to add the end zone, and you got to add the
Yep. I think that's fair.
So there you go. That's your makeable line of scrimmage at the plus 20 is probably what we're talking about. I think it's funny because you can get yourself into a place as a fan as you look at the schedule, as you look at the season, as things have gone so far, the coaching change, and I want to address something about that here in a few minutes, a 1-4 schedule, and you can just kind of beat yourself up a little bit as a fan. You can kind of walk out to the ledge and go, man, I don't know. Then you have a conversation with a guy that is in and connected and part of this team, and that's not where they're at. Like that, I think that came across clearly of, this team is not, dumbfounded as to what the problem is. Jonathan's talking about, we're a play or two away from being 3-2 or 4-1. And
all execution.
When you hear those kind of things, you realize that, if they can gel, which is something that you do not want to happen too early in the season. I know I keep going back to that 2023 season, but it is such a great example of things coming together too early for a team. We went 5-0 and we were living it up. And remember, a lot of those of you that were around, I don't know if you remember that the 5-0 was really suspect.
Sketchy.
It was 1 or 2 point victories at the last second that made them. It was 1 or 2 plays. Again, James Palmer says most games are 1 or 2 games from a different record. Yeah, we were just on the right side of those first 5 games, but then as we got later in the season, we were on the wrong side all the time. Jacksonville, 3 games against Carolina, just couldn't get it together.
Well, we said it before we brought him on. I mean, we were saying that this team is better than the 1-4 record and even better than 2-3. And if we can see that from the outside looking in, much more so a person like Jonathan Bain or an actual player for the Gunslingers, they see what's going on. And certainly they feel that they're on the cusp. Like they're right there. Jonathan kept saying, it's about execution. They got to work on execution and consistency. Well, consistent execution comes with consistent good practice and continuity. And there has been very little continuity in this team, up to this point. And now I think they're finally at a point where they can exercise that a little bit. But he gave that little caveat of no at 1-4, despite that need for some continuity, there's nobody's job is guaranteed at this point.
So I found something interesting, and I don't know, he never said it out loud, but reading between the lines, I got the very real sense that no one should be surprised whoever is the starting quarterback in Vegas. If it's Guy, you shouldn't be surprised. But if it's Zach Reeder, you should also not be surprised. It did not sound like Guy has things sewn up. He's our quarterback. I didn't catch that because when I asked that question, he just kind of said it's all about execution, and these guys are going to battle it out this week. And he did not commit and say this is our guy. As a fan, I'll be real honest, Leo. I want to give Guy the shot. I want Guy to feel comfortable in the starting quarterback position and say, man, this is your job. I feel like when you're always looking over your shoulder, that adds an extra layer that is not fair sometimes. However, maybe that's just the reality. The reality is you do have to look over your shoulder. And if you can't handle a guy being right behind you and pushing you for the job, then you're not the right guy to be in the job. I don't know. I'm not a coach. But, man, I wish they had just that much more confidence in Guy and said, no, you're the one. Until we tell you different, you need to just not worry about looking over your shoulder at Zach. And I didn't get the feeling that that's where they're at with him right now.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm going to say, though, that Guy, being a contender and being a professional athlete, he's going to prepare himself like he's the guy.
Right.
He's going to do what he does, and he's going to be ready. And we'll see what the Gunslingers, come up with. And, I don't think we're going to know until, game day
and some of that may simply be gamesmanship. There's no reason to tell Vegas or anybody else who the quarterback is before you have to. No reason to do that. So, part of that is probably just gamesmanship. That was something that Coach Manas was always very careful of. Like, he didn't give you any more information than he needed to because he didn't want to. He didn't want to give you an opportunity to prepare. As a quasi media person, I hate that, but I get it. I understand it. I understand what it's.
I love Ralph Judkins' comment. Guy has been the guy that QB1s have been looking over their shoulder at, so he knows exactly what that means. Yeah. And I'm like you. I hope he's got that. They have that confidence in him, and he gets that opportunity because. What we saw from Guy in this last game, I definitely saw, an improvement as far as gutsy play, leadership, putting the team on your shoulders. And that he did definitely demonstrate what Jonathan Bain was talking about that guy that's just going to go out there and has that mentality, going to go out there and go get it and leave it all out on the field. That's Guy Myers. That's what we saw from Guy Myers. Now, on the other stuff, as far as being able to process quickly and see what's there when there's a pressure and the blitz is coming, maybe that's something they're talking about. We talked about it last week where we felt he didn't have enough protection to get comfortable back there. And maybe that's some of the things where he needs to improve. Everybody's always got to improve. You're never. You can't be stagnant as a professional, athlete competitor. You always have to look for room for improvement. And maybe that's one of the things that he's talking about.
Alex McSwain says, I feel like Tyler Huddle is the only safe bet on who's starting this weekend simply because there's not another kicker on the roster.
There's not another kicker. Yeah.
He's going to be the kicker. Everybody else needs to earn their spot. And maybe that's as it should be. Maybe it should be the one who gives us the best chance to win this week. Coach Q says, I will say this. If you're quick to bring in another QB and not let Guy prove himself, now you're looking at next man up. It's hard to get the chemistry. That is where I'm at. I want to do as much of the same as possible for the next couple of weeks because I want to see this group have an opportunity to develop that chemistry. I don't know if they will, but I want to give them the opportunity to say, okay, guys, we're not changing quarterbacks. We're not changing head coaches. We're not starting and stopping all of this. It's been a very weird start to the season. I don't really blame them for being discombobulated because it's been that kind of season with some weird bye weeks and a schedule that had you away from home for most of it, and then a head coach change, a quarterback change, never getting the offense, looking good. Looking as good as it should be. Let's not mince words. When you look at this wide receiver core, the running back you have, protection or no, Jonathan's right. This game happens quick. And so protection only holds up as so much of an excuse. You really feel like this should be a better team. Offensively, if you don't let those guys just stay in the place, you're never going to know what you have.
Right. Yep. That execution that Coach Bain mentioned, I mean, that I believe comes with that continuity. That comes with the repetition. That comes with getting that opportunity to have that chemistry. So yeah, there's a lot to that. I think that's a huge factor.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Quentin Humphrey says, if we keep changing the QB instead of fixing other problems that everyone keeps calling out, the O-line is something that he's been talking about all season long. Interesting idea here that Alex brings up that I hadn't really thought about. I think it was, it was James Palmer. We'll see what he learned playing the same team. Yeah. Here's what's great about the way our schedule. We've talked about how the schedule hurt us, which is an excuse that I hate that we lean on sometimes. But let's talk about how the schedule has helped us, because we played a game against Vegas and then got a bye week and get to play Vegas again. They do not get the same luxury. They had to game plan, and prepare for a whole nother team.
Yep.
In between these games, while we just got to focus on who Vegas is, what they showed us in round one, and where we can exploit that in round two. We have gotten an advantage here. I don't know how much of an advantage, and I don't know if we'll take advantage of the advantage.
In essence, it's 2 weeks of preparation.
Yeah.
That's a huge advantage. Yeah.
Yeah. We keep using that word, but it means what we think it means. It's an advantage. James Palmer calling this a must-win game. I wouldn't hesitate to call this a must-win game. I agree. This is a Western Conference game. You're 1-4. You have to get the win. By the way, I mentioned a coaching change, and we haven't talked a lot about Tom since he left. No reason to. There is a story out there most of you have seen by now. Tom is now the head coach in Massachusetts of the Pirates. Good for Massachusetts. Good for Tom Manas. I sure hope that we get the win we get a win before him or the same time that he does. They play Tucson this week. They had a bye week this week, and they play Tucson. I don't want Tom Manas to win a game before us. It's not because I don't like Tom or I want to stick it to him. I don't want to deal with what that says. I don't want to think about that. So let's go ahead and beat Vegas. And so if they beat Tucson, we get the win at the same time, and everybody's happy. Tom is successful, and we're successful, and everything's good. Let's do it that way.
We just need to get that win. We just need to get that first win for Coach Fuller and get that under our belt, and then we can move forward. I absolutely agree with that.
The only time we would see Tom Menas this season is if by some set of circumstances we wound up in Tucson at the IFL championship game against the Massachusetts Pirates. That'd be a fun story.
It would.
I'm down. Let's get to the championship game, and if it's Menas, it's Menas, and sure, that'd be a lot of fun. That'd be a great season, especially considering where we are right now at 1-4. Totally possible. Alex McSwain says, "I don't want that narrative. I'm okay with it. I don't think you could write it any better. I like the entertainment value of all of that. That's fine." I think you're right, James. I think this is a must win. I don't think there's any other way to see this game. We have to beat Vegas. We have to even up the series with them because we don't know what tiebreakers are going to come into play. And so we have to even up the series. We cannot give ground over to Vegas. The worst thing in the world would be to finish just outside of the fourth spot out of the playoff spot because Vegas beat you both times. And while you have similar records or the same record, they have the tiebreaker.
Right.
We can't give that up. So yeah, we need to beat Vegas. And frankly, I would like to see us beat Vegas by more than 7 because I think that's the next
point differential.
Yeah, it's the point differential. And so beating them by more than 7 would be fun.
Definitely.
James Palmer says, so we could sink his ship in the championship? Sure. Why not?
Yeah. I'm all for it. Let's do it.
And Jordan Stubing saying, honestly, that would be the best outcome for the league dramatically. It would be a story. It would be a very interesting story. And then Jordan says, if the Pirates perform like they did in the championship last year, sure, let's do that. I don't know if anybody remembers, but they got absolutely run out of the building by Arizona.
Yeah, by Arizona. Yep.
So, yeah, must-win game here against Vegas. And then we get to go to Vegas this week. We go get the win. And then, Leo, we get to come home. We get to come back to the friendly confines of the Freeman Coliseum against San Diego. And it's going to be a heck of a night.
We get to see that 6-shooter 6-pack again.
Yeah, in the truck.
Awesome.
It was very cool. We also get just my favorite thing in the world. I'm not lying when I say I have this picture on my phone and I have pulled it up a couple of times this week just to look at it. The Gunslingers fan jersey for the military. I texted Jordan today and said, when are these coming in? I was not joking on the show about wanting one shipped to my house so that I can have it as early as possible. I will pay the extra for the shipping. Send me this jersey, 3X, to my door in Palacios, please. As soon as I can get one.
Jordan's trying to talk us into going to Vegas this weekend for the game. I don't know how he wants us to be able, or wants me to be able to afford to go to a trip to Vegas for me and Lolius and then still get all these jerseys that he's producing.
I love it. I'm going to put it back up there. God, I love this.
Yeah,
I love this. This is my favorite thing ever.
Very solid. Great work. Lolis loves it. She says she definitely wants one. So yeah.
So good. Jordan
Very
says
cool.
Free jersey if you come to Vegas. See, you're already saving money there, Leo. You go to Vegas.
Saving money.
Hey, you play the casinos, right? And you could make money on the trip, right?
Yep. Loli's, she might be watching right now. I know she was on earlier. You saw that, Loli's, right? Little incentive.
There you go.
For us to hop on a plane to Vegas this weekend.
Also on the 17th, every fan, how many fans are getting how many flags are we doing, Jordan? The first number of flags that are fans that get in the building will get a voucher for the San Antonio Gunslingers new flag. You see a flag up over here, but that will soon be replaced by this flag. I love it. Good looking stuff there.
I have a spot for that flag right there. There's something hanging right there that will be replaced.
That BWO
flag
coming down, huh?
I think so. That flag is just too awesome. I have to hang that up.
It is pretty cool. It looks so good. I have had this as my lock screen. I got to clear out all my text messages here. You don't need to see all my text messages, but I have it as my lock screen. Have all week. I've been running with the Gunslinger flag.
Send that graphic to me. I think I need to do that too on my phone.
I will send it to you. James Palmer says, you're going to wear that jersey on the broadcast? You know what? I may. Like, we try to dress up and look professional, but I may just tell Ralph, tough, man. I'm wearing the military jersey this week. I am toying with the idea of being in town that weekend for the Brahmas game, which is Friday night. And then staying overnight and then going to the other game. I'm toying with that idea, and I promise you, if I go to that Brahmas game, that is going to be on my body. I might wear a Brahmas hat or something, but I will absolutely be wearing that Gunslinger jersey right there. Can I send it to you as well? You're talking about the graphic? Yes, I will absolutely send that to you. Jordan says, I'll hand it to you in person if I come to Vegas, I think is what he means. I really can't. As much as I would love to be in Vegas instead of Kansas this weekend, not going to happen. I like my family. I love my family. And no, can't do that. I have a cool Gunslinger playing card graphic I'm going to make into a wallpaper and post on Facebook fan page tomorrow for the Vegas game. Nice. Very, very nice. Also, so we've got this. We've got the jersey. Set aside your money for that. The first, I don't remember how many fans it is, and I need Jordan to tell me how many fans are getting the flag. But that's not even all. Leo, that's not all. But wait, there's more. Because the San Antonio Gunslingers, your San Antonio Gunslingers, will be wearing specialized military appreciation uniforms for the game. And we had been told that nobody would see those until they took the field. But guess what I got? I got it early. And I'm about to get in some trouble.
I was going to say, did you get permission to reveal it, though?
Let's see if I got permission to reveal it or not. No, I believe I did. I'm going to feign ignorance and say, sure, yeah, they told me to. Yeah, absolutely. I'm supposed to show this off. But I am. I'm going to show it off right here, right now, and we'll see if I get in trouble or not. I may never get preview stuff ever again, but that's the risk I'm willing to take for you, the Gunslinger fan. Here you go. The military appreciation uniform for the 17th, your San Antonio Gunslingers wearing the black uniforms with the red, white, and blue accents all throughout them, including the numbers and each one of the service medallions on the back of the jersey. Look at that. That is pretty cool. That looked really good with that white helmet on top, the whole thing. Going to be very, very cool to see them take the field. By the way, it is 1,000. First 1,000 folks are getting the flag. And then there you go. There is your specialized uniform for military appreciation. Not the only time this season, I believe, we're doing a specialized uniform. Jordan, are you guys going to do some sort of auction with those uniforms to support something? Like, auction the shirt off the players' backs or something to go toward
similar
a charity? That's something that we see often with these sort of specialized jerseys. That might be an idea if you're not.
They did last year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. By the way, I'm going to let everyone know that the lorem ipsum on the nameplate on the back is just
right.
That's just
the new quarterback. That's our new quarterback, lorem ipsum.
Our new quarterback. No, that is just a placeholder for text in graphic design.
He's a guy out of Tulsa. Yeah, no. He said they will be auctioned off in some form after the game. Details to come soon. So there you go. Lauren Ipsum, your brand new quarterback. No, I'm just kidding. He's a running back, obviously. His number's 25.
Number 25.
No, that's just a standard thing you put to denote that text is there. I'm sure it's Latin for something. I'm sure it's some sort of Latin for there's text here or something. James Palmer says, Leo, you going to make any bids on any of those jerseys?
I don't know. I got to find out if I'm going to go to Vegas this weekend.
Number 5 flies off the shelf. He won't. If he doesn't get a shot at number 5, he might not. Jordan says it's Pig Latin. It's Pig Latin for what? Let me figure out what that would be. Remlo Summit? That doesn't make any more sense than anything else.
I'm always down to add another number 5 jersey to my collection.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's more. I have more to show you. If you are listening to the podcast, if you just, get this podcast and you get it on Wednesday morning and drive around and listen, you're missing out because you have to go back and watch the video to see all this cool stuff I'm showing you. Star Wars. We just had Star Wars Day yesterday. I am honoring the religious holiday of May the 4th. May the 4th be with you and also with you. May the 4th, Star Wars Day. We just got through that, and we have a Star Wars night coming up. I believe that will be the Bay Area game on the 24th of May. Jordan will correct me in a minute when I'm wrong. I guess I don't have to wait until then. But for Star Wars night, the last 2 seasons, they put together really cool jerseys. This was last year's. I love this because Chewbacca finally got his medal. It's a Chewbacca style with a nice big gold Gunslingers medal on it. And then the year before was the Rebel pilot.
Yes.
With the crossed blasters. Very cool. I have that one too. I almost wore that one today, but I wore this one instead. Hey, Leo.
Yeah.
You want to see the new one?
Let's see it.
Again, I may never get these things again. May 24th is Star Wars night, says Alex McSwain. So yes, the Bay Area game, the end of the month, will be the Star Wars game. Here you go. A new reveal for you. There you are.
Wow.
The 2025 San Antonio Gunslingers Star Wars night jersey, fan jersey, a Stormtrooper design, a Stormtrooper helmet, which I got to tell you, Leo, as soon as I saw this, I was like, man, I might need to get a Stormtrooper helmet because you can buy those.
Yeah, and put the logo on it.
And then get them to give me some of those decals they put along the helmet so that I could turn a Stormtrooper helmet into a Gunslinger's helmet as is depicted here. Mm-hmm. That is a cool look. I might need to do that. I might need to invest money in that. My wife will
and wear that for the broadcast? I don't get this.
I wouldn't get it done by the 24th. That ain't happening. But wear it for the broadcast. I would display it here proudly in my office somewhere because
I love this Stormtrooper jersey. I'm definitely gonna have to add it to the collection.
Yes.
There's one thing that makes me pause though, that causes me pause on this particular jersey.
Okay, wait. Let me guess, because it might be the same thing with me. Is it the fact that the sponsor is Matangas and the red and green up in the corner make it feel a little Christmassy?
No. Okay. No, not at all. Not at all.
Because I keep catching that out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, why is there holly green up on the shoulder?
Matangas,
it looks like it's Matangas. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that. Actually, you know what? Since you're talking color coordination, that Matango's logo would look sick on a Boba Fett jersey because
it
those
sure
colors would match. Not that it doesn't look great on this Stormtrooper jersey. No,
Right.
What causes me to pause is that the insinuation of this jersey for this particular gunslinger is that they will never hit their target. This gunslinger would not ever hit his target.
Actually,
because they're notoriously known, if you watch any of the Star Wars movies,
Sure.
for being terrible shots.
Which is
It
interesting.
is awesome, though.
I was just having this. So funny because Star Wars is a big topic. For me, I'm a big Star Wars guy. You can't see it in my office, but I have a whole wall over here that is Star Wars in my office. I was just having this conversation today with a friend of mine that also loves Star Wars. There is nothing that is more telling of the fact that George Lucas was just making this up as he was going than the fact that one of the first things you hear about stormtroopers is Obi-Wan saying that they are very precise in their attacks. He talks about the blast points on the Jawa's freighter, on the Jawa's thing, and how
that's true.
It's not sand people, it has to be stormtroopers because only Imperial stormtroopers are this precise.
Yes.
And then the rest of the series, they are just terrible shots.
But we all know that Obi-Wan has a great sense of humor. They showed that very early on in the series.
So this is what Star Wars fans will do. They will be like, it was a joke. No, it wasn't. Yeah. It's George Lucas writing to whatever he needs in that very moment and then forgetting about it later. And that's what he does. You can go back and watch all of the Star Wars movies that he wrote, and you will see that he writes something and then forgets about it completely. He wrote that line and then completely forgot about it. He says, I'm aware of the fact that stormtroopers miss, but I went full send anyway. I love it. It's a great look. It's a great look.
It is cool. And you mentioned the helmet. So, I don't want to give it away entirely because I'm waiting for a time to do this, but I can also say this to kind of nudge Jordan a little bit since he's here with us. But I've been waiting, and I think I suggested at least on a couple of times before, we need a villain night, a villain theme. You mentioned the helmet. I have purchased a villain helmet some time ago. You know, I am a geek. You know, I am into geekdom and characters, and I do have a helmet that I am planning to do exactly that on and put the Gunslingers logo on the side. I'm looking at the helmet right now. It's off camera over here. My wife said I was nuts when I got it, but I was like, nope, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just waiting for the opportunity to do it when it'll fit. Not fit me, but fit the theme of the night. So we need to have a villain night, Jordan.
I'm trying to think of helmeted villains now. I'm like, what helmet?
You won't guess it. You'll never
really?
Guess it. You would never guess it.
Interesting.
It's 80s. Very, very 80s.
Okay. I did not say this. This was not my joke. I am just reading the joke from someone else. James Palmer wrote. I mean, if Malik Henry were still our quarterback, that would be accurate as far as missing the mark. I did not make the joke. James Palmer made the joke. Jordan Stubing says, I am working on a Joker jersey.
Very cool.
For Superhero Night. I do like that idea. I do recognize that we've had the purple and green color scheme on a jersey before, so that might cause you to pause. But I have always been a fan. I like Batman, but I like Batman because of the Joker. Like, the Joker is the part that I really like about Batman. I really appreciate almost every iteration of that character. Not you, Jared Leto, but everybody else. I really appreciate their iteration of that character. And I'm a fan of the Joker. I have been since I was 9 years old, and I watched Cesar Romero on the Batman TV show, and I thought he was very funny and very cool. And then later that summer, Jack Nicholson in the theater. Man, well, Nicholson just
yes.
I said then, and for most of my teenage life, all of my teenage life, and most of my 20s, I said nobody will ever be a better Joker than Jack Nicholson. He just embodied everything the Joker should be. And then Heath Ledger did what he did, and I was like, there can be multiple really great Jokers, and in fact, there are. Cesar Romero, Mark Hamill's vocal work, Jack Nicholson, Ledger, and even Joaquin Phoenix. I have not seen Part 2, but in his first iteration of Joker, all bringing something different and incredible to the table. I just did not care very much for Jared Leto.
Well, did you see the director's cut, the extended version? There's a scene in there. You should. There's a scene in there. And I'm not trying to convince you that Jared Leto's the best Joker ever. I'm just saying he unfortunately got a major monologue, or it might have been a dialogue. I don't remember who he was talking to, but there was a major scene that was cut out where he got a chance to show his Joker and shine. And it's unfortunate that the masses didn't get to see it because it was actually not bad. I'm not going to put him in the best category, of Ledger or Nicholson, but he would get a lot more credit than what he gets now if the masses had seen that scene.
I love that we swung into movie and comic book talk, but I'm okay with it. James Palmer saying Joker makes Batman who he is. I do think that part of the mythos of these two characters is that one does not exist without the other.
Right.
In fact, I think Ledger's iteration of the Joker says it the best when Batman accuses him of trying to kill him, and he says, "Kill you? Why would I want to kill you? What would I do then? Go back to ripping off mob dealers? No, you complete me." I think that is who the Joker is. Like, he does not exist without Batman and vice versa. I don't think the Batman exists without a foil like the Joker in so many ways. But enough of that. Like, it's still Gunslinger related. We're talking about the Joker jersey that may be coming. But I do love, I love me some Joker stuff. Leo's camera just dipped on us, but I can still hear you.
Yeah.
Somebody said it would be hilarious. Somebody watching on YouTube, I'm not sure who this is. DJCYN41 says it would be hilarious if y'all did a Brahmas themed jersey. Not this year, it wouldn't. Nobody wants to bring that juju on themselves. You're right.
You would never have guessed it, but I decided to go ahead and bring it off and show it. It's been sitting here in the box.
Cobra Commander.
Yep.
Cobra Commander.
One day.
One day. Jordan says, welcome back to Holstered Guns.
Holstered Guns, yeah.
Hey, I've gotten some friends recently that have reached out to me and said they are going back through and finally listening to our Holstered Guns project, our movie podcast that we did over the last, it's out there, and I see people download it occasionally, and when they download one, they tend to download several in a row, it looks like, or I see those downloads fall in a row. I can't always tell who's downloading them. But hey, if you have not gone out and listened to our Holstered Guns podcast, that was our off-season movie podcast, you should go back and do that. There's 10 episodes, and they're very cool. My daughter was on one of those. Very cool.
Yeah. It was a good time.
So, must win in Vegas, yeah? No doubt.
Definitely. No doubt. But I think we're going to get this one.
Guy Myers is your quarterback?
Yes. I say yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then you've seen all the goodies. Got lots of goodies coming up for that game in Freeman Coliseum. The next 2 games in Freeman Coliseum, the 17th and then again on the 24th. Leo, we get ourselves into these sort of situations where, we're not going to have RC. It's going to be a bye week. You know what? This is probably going to be a shorter show.
A short show. No.
But then we have Jonathan Bain on and we get into comic book talk, and all of a sudden I look at the clock and our time is up.
Yeah.
So we are the Smoking Guns Podcast. We're a podcast about football in San Antonio. We're brought to you by some amazing patrons, some folks that give of their dollars and cents to help us make the show go. Those people are Alfred Rodriguez, James Palmer, Jay Washington, James Stubing, Kim and Greg Nelson, Mo and Iris Ferrante. They are helping us make the show go. If you would like to be a part of that group that helps us make the show go and then gives us a little bit of a bank so that we can do some special things in the summer for some kids, sending them to football camp and to cheer camp, to dance camp, feel free to log on to patreon.com/SmokingGunsPod, Smoking No G, Guns with a Z, P-O-D. And sign up at our $5, $10, or $20 level to support us each month. We will honor you. We will mention you in the show. You will always get a mention in the show notes. And when we do special things, these are the first folks that we reach out to and connect with. But really, you're just kind of helping us make the show go and helping us do something special for kids as we get later into the summer. We really appreciate all of those folks I just read out. And if you want to be a part of that list, we would welcome your support and appreciate your support. We are on social media, on all the social medias, as far as I know, at Smoking Guns Pod, Smoking No G, Guns with the ZPOD. Some of them were more active than others. We're not very active on X. We're not active at all on Instagram, although we do have an Instagram. We're mainly active on Facebook. And then we have our YouTube channel. But if you need to get a message to us, you can always message us through our social media, Smoking Guns Pod, or you can email us at smokinggunspod@gmail.com. Leo, why does it feel like it's been a long time since we've had Gunslinger football? It was just a week ago, right?
Yeah, but it feels a lot. It feels a lot longer, and I think it's because we're waiting for that win. Like we want that win. So it feels like longer than a week because we're starving for that win to feel good about where we're at, and even though up here we feel it and we know that we're kind of better than what we are right now, and we could do great things. It's time where we need to start visualizing that and seeing it on the field.
I agree.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, I
agree. Well, we're not going to be looking for Gunslinger football once Saturday gets here, because we're for the next 2 months. There's a game coming up every week. It's going to be great. We're going to learn a lot about who this team is. And I expect to be pleasantly surprised as they get into rhythm and start gelling together. If you're looking for the best indoor football experience, it is not in Tulsa.
Nope.
It is not in Jacksonville. They do a great job. It's not Jacksonville. It's not over in San Diego, and it's certainly not in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking for the best indoor or Massachusetts. Not there either. Bunch of. Never mind. If you're looking for the best indoor football experience, the 210 has got something to say. Bang, bang. We miss you, RC. Get back soon.
Yeah. Get better.
All right. That's it for the show tonight. We went a little longer than I thought, but or a lot longer than I thought, and a little longer than we usually do. Crazy.
Yeah.
But I'll have Jonathan Bain on. It's not in Corpus either. You're right. No. James. It is not in Corpus either. We love those guys, but this is better. I've seen that. This is better.
Just needs to reflect on the win column, which it will start soon.
Alex McSwain has a great idea. The next time they have an 80s retro night, that Cobra helmet.
Hey, that'd be cool. I didn't
That's
think about that.
That is
Yeah.
it. James Palmer was thinking it might be Transformers, Megatron. That would have been a good guess.
That would be cool. I haven't seen a Megatron helmet. If there was a Megatron helmet, I'd be all over it.
That'd be a great guess.
Yep,
Folks, make sure you like, rate, and review. Download the episode when it hits our feed, even if you don't listen to it. Please download it so that we get the traffic. And then like, rate, and review on whatever podcast app you use so that more people can see. Ever since we went to a video show, like we do here on Facebook and YouTube, our listens have gone way, way, way down. And I get it. I understand why that is. If you've listened to it here and you've interacted with the show here, why? Why would you turn around and listen to a 2-hour show you just heard the night before? Please continue to go download it. It is important that those numbers get back up and stay up for algorithms to bring us to new people, so that we can get more and more people in San Antonio that might be looking for a podcast like ours or the San Antonio Gunslingers. There are a large amount of people in South Texas that have no idea that the Gunslingers even exist. And we need to do our part at getting the word out as much as we can. So please download, rate, review, subscribe, whatever that looks like for you, so that we make sure that show gets out. And we will talk to you guys next week as we celebrate a win in Vegas over the Nighthawks. What is a Nighthawk? Nobody's even. I am convinced.
We asked the players at the game when they were there on the wall, and we were like, "Hey, what the heck is a Nighthawk?" They just ignored us. They don't know. They don't know. Obviously,
they don't have any idea. We know what a gunslinger is. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to post some clips on my Gunslinger Tribute TikTok page. Yes.
Nice. Yeah.
All for idea. That. Absolutely. Thanks so much, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us. And we will talk to you guys soon. And let's go get that win in Vegas. Let's go beat the Nighthawks, whatever that is.
Let's go.
See you guys later.